So one of the potent things is that just as we gather, as we come together and as we share, we just immediately recognize where there are overlaps in our the full dimensionality of our experience. That the human experience is so deeply shared. And even if there seem to be unique flavors, that we're all in this together, right? And somehow coming into that connection and recognition supports the joining. So we join in the field at the frequency of unity, but recognizing our shared human experience is part of that unified, lived, integrative experience, that there's not two different experiences that are happening. And we're not trying to get away from one experience in order to have a different experience. That we're not trying to get away from anything. That we discover the wholeness through recognizing that there's only one, right? Mm. Mm. So when we speak about the illusion, we're speaking about that the division, the separation is an illusion, right? That's what the illusion is. The illusion is that there's any division anywhere, that there's any separation anywhere. We're not saying that there's nothing, that we're not really having an experience. There can be some kind of expressions of that want to focus upon that, kind of almost as a technique to bring a deeper resting. But that is most definitely a transcendent idea that isn't the full wholeness. It can be a stepping stone to explore, but it's most definitely not the full resonant reality. And that's why, in a way, all of the inquiries that are going on in the field, in a way, the answer for every inquiry is the same, although of course it's nuanced. It's most definitely nuanced. But it's all about realizing that the mind is not the reality, that the story of separation and deficiency, limitation and delusion and something being wrong is not the actual reality. But it's not about getting away from anything. It's about realizing that there is a reality that is whole, that is always here, that never moves and changes. And everything that's moving and changing is taking place in that entirety, in that totality. So often it can be the mind and the me that's looking for the experience of feeling peaceful and relaxed and calm. And what we're really pointing to is that it doesn't actually matter what's happening in the life or the mind. It's about recognizing that the being that we are, so we could say that ground of being, never moves. It's recognizing the unmoving, unchanging reality. And in a way, it's recognizing that stillness is always still, that you don't actually have to be still, but recognizing that stillness is always still and that the true nature is stillness. So we're looking at true nature. We're looking at the essence of what we are. And we're always looking to not be focused upon the story and the idea and the belief that there's something wrong with me that needs to be fixed. It's never about fixing or changing the situation. It's about opening to include what feels to be discordant and simultaneously recognizing the ground of being, the unmoving, unchanging wholeness is always whole, that there's an integrity to wholeness that never, ever changes. And in a way, the way to this frequency of living reality is right through the middle of whatever feels to be disturbing or discordant in the field, whatever feels to be like a weather pattern, whatever feels to be stressful or agitated, unfocused, distracted, whatever it is, it's about including everything in the lived experience. And in a way, we could say undividing the moment. So in this moment, because what's important that we're not sharing ideas to kind of put in your pocketbook and to come back to later. We're speaking about the lived direct experience. So in this moment, we're inviting a resting. And the resting is about being here and resting here. And the resting is something that gets deeper and deeper and more refined. And as we say, it's not the kind of resting where you're taking a nap, but it is a deep, incredible relaxation. And the invitation is just to be here with all that you are, to just find yourself here in this moment. We could also say, rather curiously, that it's about opening to the field of presence, the field of being that is everywhere and unbounded in its fullness. It's about opening to the wide open expanse, but it's also about being here embodied. It's not an abstract finding of yourself. It's about being here in the fullness of this moment and not trying to create any idea that's like a mood or a posture or a mudra, right? It's about just being here. So the invitation of this moment is just to be here, just as you are. Whatever's in your field of inquiry, whatever seems to be distracting, whatever seems to be wrong or contracted or alive or like a sense of, I don't know how to do that, or that's come into my field and created a feeling of pulling my attention, right? Whatever it is, whether it's a happening or a circumstance in the relational field, whether it's a change in the life circumstance and like a job coming in that just changes your schedule. It's just to receive it all in this moment. Whatever's happening, just to be here, whether it's body issues, whatever it is, just, okay, it's here, it's here. Everything is just here. And so the naturalness of being is like a welcoming. And it's not a welcoming that's like a posture or a doing. It's just to find yourself here. So as you find yourself here, and this will feel very natural for pretty much all of us, we're just like, oh yeah, here I am, here I am, here I am. Right? We open to the amness of being, of just being here. And we don't discard the inquiry or the discordance. We don't try to get away from. We just be here so fully that everything can be included. It's like a relaxation. So we relax into the play of the human life. We relax into that, okay, I know this ground of being, and there are things that I find myself getting involved in the story. I feel myself talking about things. I feel myself kind of maybe wanting to solve or change things. I feel myself questioning, trying to work it out, not knowing how. like not knowing how to let go came up in our field, and how to not be distracted, how to stay focused. And in a way, the answer to every question is to find your way of, just noticing that there's always an unmoving, unchanging field of presence that's here, that the stillness is always here. And in a way, the mind's idea of needing to be with the stillness can feel like kind of heavy homework, right? And generally, we don't really want heavy homework. We don't really want to have to be kind of trying and efforting. And of course, what we also realize, well, trying and efforting, it's not actually it. And that's the truth. It's not. And so the being and the resting is effortless. But it's about coming underneath like the surface noise, right? If we're trying to work anything out on the level of surface noise, and we could call that the personal, right? The way that we're referencing it in the field this afternoon, that if we're on that level of the personal and the story and the noise, if we're trying to solve anything, fix or change, or find answers, we're looking within limitation. And we'll always come up against that limitation. And it will bring a feeling of discomfort and discordance, and it will bring a feeling of like a really high contrast to the glory of being yourself and what we know as a living reality. So in a way, what we're really speaking of is, like, I know the living reality, and yet the play of the human life, I seem to get pulled out. And these are the ways that I get pulled out. And then what? And then what? Right? And what happens is the mind can then come in and make a problem of that. And what we're really inviting is that we don't make a problem of it, but that we include that part of us that is kind of trying to search and seek for, within the realm of limitation, a depth of experience that's not possible in the realm of limitation. But the depth of experience that we're searching for is always here underneath, always. And we access that here now in the presence of being. We access that through just dropping into the rest, into the relaxation. And then it's like, oh yeah, it's always here. And actually, I can't find this with my mind, and I can't access this when I'm in the spin of the story. But if I find this anchor, this rooted ground of being, and I recognize that it's always here and it never ever goes anywhere, then I don't actually need to be striving within my lived experience to hold on to anything. I just realize that the lived experience is life living itself, and it doesn't really matter what's happening, because the ground is never shaken. It's a ground that is undisturbable and unwavering, right? So just in this moment, just resting where we are in our field and just receiving. So we're pointing to the wholeness, to the ground of being, to the impersonal, to the field, to the love, to the unmovable, unshakable. But we're also pointing to the unknowable, unfathomable. We're pointing to that which is not known or understood by the mind, and so can feel like, well, that's not the anchor that I want right now. I want things to change. I want to let go. I want to feel free, right? And I want to know how to work with that, right? And in a way, of course, there are subtle nuances that we'll come into about certain situations and just being able to see clearly. But we could say, generally for the field, the clear seeing comes when we are resting. And it seems counterintuitive to the mind that wants to work it out. And that's how we've learned to live, right? So going to that as a default is just so easy, and it's innocent, right? It's a protective, innocent way, and it's a default mechanism that is how we've learned to live and how still the majority of the collective are living. We do know a different reality, right? And what we're inviting is that we're still exercising, we could say, the muscle of recognition. We're still recognizing, we're still in this process of really rooting the recognition, the recognition that the true nature, the essence nature, has never changed, does never change, and will never change. So the ground has never been taken, never can be taken, and has always been absolutely stable. The nature, the true nature, has always been true. And we're coming to this revelation. And we come to this revelation not through pushing and trying and being hard on ourselves. Of course, we can't collaborate with making ourselves wrong and being hard on ourselves to come to the revelation of kindness and love that is pure. So we come to this revelation through resting and relaxation and an inclusivity of everything that's here. So in this moment, just notice what's happening in your field. Just notice if what you are being with and what you're bringing forward. Notice if the magic of the field is starting to touch and address. Okay, let's notice if in the magic of our field, right, as we've joined and we've brought forward and enlivened the field together. So right now in this moment, yes, this form is the voice piece, and yet all the voices have contributed, participated, and just notice if the intelligence of the field, where we are joined as one field, where the intelligence that you are made of, where we are one in this field of being, this field of presence, this field of light and beauty, are you starting to feel a deeper sense of yourself, even just a deeper sense of resting? Are you feeling or noticing that anything is moving in the field to bring a greater attunement, a deeper resting, even maybe some kind of insight or seeing coming forward, right? Just to notice. And it doesn't matter if there's not like a full resolution of what you're bringing forward. It's just to notice what is happening in the field. Because as there's a resting and an opening to the intelligence, it's like it activates and encourages the intelligence and deepens the attunement, right? It's never about fixing and changing in the way that we've learned. And in a way, the focus is not about staying focused as like a homework. It's about recognizing that underneath the dance of life, there is a true essence nature that's always focused upon itself, in itself, right? That in a way the light is always resting in its principle that is always illuminating, right? That the being is always resting in its beingness. Even when the mind is dancing and the body is acting out discordance or whatever is happening in the field where relational dynamics feel like they're pulling the attention, whether there's a trigger or a charge. It's the recognizing that there's something here that's not touched, that's never touched. And that's the resting. That's the resting and the relaxation, right? Now in the resting, it's like we have a greater access to the intelligence. Everything that's happening in the play of life is showing us what's still inside us, right? Because we're never creating something new. There's never a new dynamic being created. But in the evolution that's happening, in the illumination and revelation that's happening, as we come deeper and deeper into the joy and freedom and beauty that we are, the deeper storehouse of the unconscious gets called forward. We're never doing something wrong. We're never failing. We're never going backwards. It's just calling forward what we have the capacity to meet now, right? So, the deep core sense of separation, we can give many words to this. And the sense of separation, of division, of limitation, of lack, of not enough, unworthiness, unlovableness. I've done something wrong. I'm bad. I'm not good. I'm whatever it is, all that any of those kind of flavors, those fragrances are ever showing us is, okay, this is inside me, and it's here in my field in the unconscious, and here's the grace of this piece coming forward. And in the resting, can I just be with myself here and not make anything about me wrong? Can I not identify with that story of getting it wrong, lack, unworthiness, upset, hurt, shame, guilt, whatever it comes as? Can I not identify and kind of make myself more unworthy in that, or more lacking in that, because I'm somehow wishing that wasn't coming forward, or I'm somehow just, can I meet that in so much of a deep resting that I can feel the sensation, and I can be so present with the sensation in the body, in the heart. I can truly allow. Because how we bring worthiness and wholeness to the forefront is by making worthy every feeling that we have that's discordant. We make worthy our anger, our shame, our guilt, our lack of focus, our feeling like we're not able to let go, that we're clinging on to a story and we're stuck in it and contracted. We make worthy every single fiber of our being, including the fullness of our human experience, not by identifying with it, but also not by making it wrong, by not identifying with the fear, the shame, the guilt, and the idea that we're trying to get clear, that we're aspiring to get somewhere. Quite honestly, the deepest freedom comes where we let go of all spiritual aspiration, where we let go of needing to be clear, even needing to be resting in the being, dare I say, right? There's a relaxation that comes because we know the being is resting in itself. You are the being, right? There's a few smiles in the field. Oh, there's a hook, right? That whole idea of like, I need to be resting in the being and I'm not resting in the being. It's like, but is the being resting in the being? Oh, yeah. Cool, right? wherever you are, whatever's happening, right? The being is resting in itself. The field is not disturbed. The field is never unlovable, never unworthy. Love is never unlovable. Love is always absolutely and wholly in love and devotion with itself. And it's this ability to recognize, oh, here, the ground is not shaking. I'm not doing something wrong. I'm not getting it wrong. And in a way, this can be one of the biggest obstacles and dances of the so-called spiritual journey is creating, let's say, overlaying and projecting our belief in unworthiness and getting it wrong onto our spiritual unfolding, that we're not doing our spiritual unfolding right. Right? So we project what's in us onto anything and everything, but we then make our spiritual unfolding something that we're not doing wrong, and we put that into the category of never being able to get there, never getting it right. But the truth is the being getting anything wrong? No. And the truth is that, do you know the being? Do you know the resting? Yeah. But the mind's still saying, yeah, but I don't know that I'm the being. Because the mind is wanting to say, I am a tool in the box, but I want to believe that I'm the whole box, that I am the whole. But it's like, but you're not. Oh, okay, but you're not, right? But actually, you're not, your identity isn't in the mind that's a tool in the box. Your identity is in the whole box. You are a child of God, and you're an absolutely fully equipped toolkit for this life. And when we're resting in the being, we activate the blueprint frequency of the Christ consciousness, of the light of consciousness, where consciousness recognizes itself. It activates the blueprint frequency of the child of God. And then where's unworthiness? Is the child of God unworthy? Right? It's that recognition of like, no. But then it can be, well, how do I marry the sense of, why does that keep coming up if I know the frequency of love? Because in the frequency of love, you have more capacity to meet the depths of your multi-lifetime, multi-dimensional belief in division, right? So it's like we get carried right to the bottom of the barrel again and again, deeper and deeper, so that we can bring forward the unconscious and realize that, you know, what we're trying to get to, what we think, where I'm trying to get in my spiritual journey, and where I'm like, that's getting in the way. What we realize is that in the seeming darkness and the unconscious, that's where the light, the glory is actually waiting for us. It's waiting for us in the unconscious. It's waiting for us right in the places that we don't want to enter fully, right? The cave we fear to enter, right? And we could say, well, I don't really fear to enter. But the thing is that there are parts of us that do fear to enter. And the shame and the guilt and these unconscious complexes are keeping us in, kind of bound in the unconscious, because we're not wanting to actually fully embrace and embody the unconscious, and through our lived experience bring the unconscious, like really meet the, you know, the anger and the control, and again the ways that in our spiritual journey we create very strong rigorous ideas about what we're trying to achieve. And most often it's protective. So much of the world of spirituality is resting in protection. Even some of the beings that are sharing and seem to be offering, to thousands and tens of thousands of people are still resting in protection in, we could say, in the realms of what is possible, right? Let's say in the realms of what is possible, and we're not even scratching the surface. So let's just let go and feel the relaxation of any sense of trying to achieve anything or get anywhere. Because this is how we embrace joy. This is how we actually come into the adventure and the glory of this life, is by letting go of all of the ways that we think we're failing in this, all of the ways that we're trying to get somewhere, and kind of even trying to be worthy through being spiritually adept, right? We just catch all of these subtleties and it's just like, oh man, oh, you got me there, right? Wow, wow. It's like we don't realize, and we have such good intention, and we're so sincere and committed, and yet there are these identities and these veils that can still be in place. And what I'm really inviting is that we really, really are being called in our field to really see the ways that we're dividing the relative and the spiritual, and we're trying to aim for the spiritual as a goal, and that's creating a sense of division. Yes, it's all one, and we enter through knowing the presence field and the glory and the frequency of the glory. But we have to be the love that comes back for all of it. And it might really go against what we resonate with and what we really want to believe and be associated with as a truth. But I can absolutely promise you from my direct experience that I'm constantly humbled at how important it is to re-enter what we might call the personal, what we might call the body. We have to within this integrative, embodied, lived experience, include everything. And so it's about seeing where there's discordance, can we open to the fullness of that and allow the frequencies to really be embodied? Can we be so engaged in life? How are we pulling ourselves out of life? How are we pulling ourselves out of things that we don't think are part of our functioning, right? Life starts to call us into things that are out of our comfort zone, to pull us into relational dynamics, worldly dynamics, and situations that will show us what's left inside us, right? So yes, we are creating our reality. Let's say we're creating the lived experience, and we're manifesting out of the frequency. It's all about the frequency. And yet it's that way of like, well, how would I manifest something bad and horrible? But life and death, right, is part of the human experience. And it's our view of it. It's our view, and it's the ability to see, well, what happens to me in that experience? Do I make myself wrong for having created something? Why am I creating a view of things that are hard? It's because that there's still pain and sadness and a feeling that something wrong can happen that's still inside me. And this is the only way, the graced way, that I get the opportunity to touch the threads and fibers of the unconscious and these deep places and bring them forward, right? So we are never doing anything wrong. There's no wrong that is ever happening. We're not like, holding a darkness that's projecting darkness upon anyone else. We're not creating harm for anyone else, right? We're dancing multidimensionally and with a multi-lifetime karmic load. So we speak about letting go of the involvement in the karma, in the karmic resonance. So we are speaking of letting go of being identified with the frequency of fear and coming to recognize that the frequency of love is an all-encompassing frequency that includes everything. So it's not moving from fear to love, it's recognizing that love includes fear, and in the face of love, fear reveals itself to be love. In the light and illumination, the darkness, we're not ignoring it and pushing it away and turning away from it. We're recognizing that the darkness is light. Everything is the same substance, right? And so we can know this conceptually, but are we embodying it? Are we embodying it on the level of meeting and integrating and including everything and really allowing the nervous system through resting to transmute, right? All that is alive in the field, right? So we recognize that there's an unmoving, unchanging, and that never moves and changes. And in a way, our deepening is coming to the revelation of, well, my identity is in the unmoving, unchanging presence field. And the moving, changing is where the adventure, the divine play, the lila is happening. And none of that is to be identified with, but it's to be included so that the transmutation and true inclusivity can happen, right? Yeah. So just notice what is happening in the field right now. What are you noticing? We're touching into some of the inquiries that are in the field when we started. So that sense of letting go, of how do I let go? What is it to let go? To let go is to actually stop trying to let go. And in a way, witness the one that wants to let go and the one that's trying, and see that one with so much kindness. Notice that what's aware of that one that's trying to let go isn't attached and has never been attached. And so it's including and holding the one that wants to let go. So when we speak about letting go, it's actually about just feeling the charge in the nervous system. And the letting go is actually happens through including and allowing. We could say, just to be able to notice, okay, there's energy in my system. There's a charge, there's a trigger. There's anger, there's frustration, or there's anxiety, or there's sadness. Right? Just to notice there's energy in my system, my nervous system, yeah. Can I rest here and can I just be with it? Could we come to the revelation that all we're ever being asked is actually just to be with what's here? We're not being asked to solve the problem. We're not being asked to understand. We're just being invited to say, oh, okay, oh yeah, there's a trigger, there's a charge. And we could then say that the letting go happens when we allow what's here in our nervous system as a charge that feels like distraction or energy or aliveness or discordance or corruption or whatever it is, or emotionality, when we actually just say, this is what's here right now. Can I just be with what's here right now? Can I just rest here and feel the energy, the aliveness? Right? So I'm having kind of flashbacks to being in Graham and Darcy's pond sanctuary. You know, this has been spoken for years, right? It's the same invitation. And yet what I'm noticing in the field is how we have so much more capacity, right? So I almost want to invite a celebration in this moment, right? Right? Like you know what I'm speaking about now. You're like, oh yeah, I remember her saying that. But wow, I can actually just be with it. Wow. Right? So let's honor and celebrate the deepening and the capacity that has opened in consciousness to actually be unmoving and unwavering with so much charge and aliveness and emotionality, right? Let's just take a moment to recognize the changing and the shifting and the upgrading that's happened. And we're not making a mistake because stuff still comes forward, right? The letting go happens when we stop trying to let go and we include everything. A relaxation happens that is the letting go, because it's the letting go of trying. It's the letting go of making ourselves wrong. A letting go of feeling like we should be somewhere else other than where we are, right? That was rather strange, grammatically speaking. We, we let go of wishing it was different, of believing that we need to be somewhere else or more refined or further along. We actually just say, hey, this is where I am. Because this is the revelation, beloved, is that nothing can ever take and has ever taken the being that you are and the groundedness and the reality, the child of God. It's never ever been disturbed or tainted. Anything that comes up in your field doesn't make you wrong or bad or lacking or not sincere or not committed, right? The play of the life and the wildness that goes on, it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. We're being refined, and my goodness, I can tell you, it's a roller coaster being refined. I could say there's many times in my experience that I'm like, wow, like how could I be creating this when I live in such profound freedom and beauty? How could that be happening in my field? It's because there's unconscious things in this field. And what we also have to say is that what's unconscious in the field, we can often find an association in our life experience, and our multi-lifetime trajectory will of course be holding those karmic frequencies. And we're also connected to a collective and a tribal consciousness, and the untangling from all these layers of consciousness is a deep, deep, deep process. We have this incredible possibility in this life for unraveling as much as we can, and for living as deeply and joyfully as we can while it's happening, right? That we're not like trying to rush to the finish post and be seen as clear, as seen as got it, because the important thing about this life is that it's joyful, it's an adventure, it's an adventure of love, loving itself. And the wilds of love is about all of the crazy things that come up. Now there is that, you know, there's depths of refinement where less and less arises. But but when we are sincere and committed, You know, things will just pop up out of the woodwork, out of nowhere, because love will keep coming back for all of itself. And if we are sincere, if we are meticulous, which I am in my process, I'm absolutely, absolutely still deeply, deeply interested in my own evolution. It's my favorite thing, the depths of my own evolution, and how am I being carried deeper in this lifetime? Never arriving anywhere, never thinking that I've got it. It's the most freeing thing to be a work in progress.